Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to FactFolio. And oh my god, you guys, I am so excited for today's video. Like, seriously, I can't even handle it. My heart is already racing. So get this, we're diving into the world of creepy fun facts. You know, those weird, unexplained stories that just make you question everything. Yeah, those ones. We're talking about mysterious disappearances, creepy twins, and like, maybe even some ghosts. Who knows? I've been researching these stories for weeks. And honestly, some of the things I found are straight up terrifying. Like, I'm talking goosebumps, chills down my spine, can't sleep with the lights off kind of scary. But like in a good way, you know, the kind of scared that makes you want to grab your blankie and keep watching. Yeah, that's what we're going for today. So buckle up, grab your snacks, and get ready to have your mind blown because things are about to get seriously creepy. Okay, you guys, this first story is seriously messed up. It's about these twin sisters, June and Jennifer Gibbons, and their bond was like next level creepy. We're talking beyond twin telepathy, like full-on sharing a world that only they could understand. They had this secret language that nobody else could decipher, not even their parents or their other siblings. Can you imagine growing up with your twin, speaking some alien language that sounded like gibberish to everyone else? Like, what were they even saying to each other? And it's not like they were just whispering little secrets. They literally only spoke to each other. They were like two peas in a pod, completely inseparable and shut off from the rest of the world. It's both fascinating and super eerie. You know, I mean, I love my sister and all, but I don't think I could handle talking in a secret language with her 24/7. Like, imagine the inside jokes, though. Okay, maybe I could handle it for a little bit. But as they got older, things took a dark turn, you guys. June and Jennifer started acting out, getting into trouble, committing petty crimes, like I'm talking shoplifting, vandalism, even setting fire to a tractor once. It was like their isolation from the world was turning into something darker, more destructive. Eventually, their behavior got so bad that they were sent to this high-security psychiatric hospital. Can you imagine being locked up with your twin in a place like that? Like, talk about a nightmare. They were poked and prodded by doctors, analysed, and basically treated like lab rats. The doctors were desperate to understand what was going on with them, why they were so withdrawn, why they acted out. But no matter how many tests they ran, they couldn't find any medical explanation for their behaviour. It was like their bond was something beyond science, something supernatural even. And the craziest part, the twins claimed they had this unspoken agreement between them. Like one of them had to die for the other to truly live a normal life. I know, right? Chilling. And then, the unthinkable happened. Jennifer died suddenly at the age of 29 from a heart condition. But the weirdest part, there was no sign of drugs or poison in her system, and her heart just seemed to give out. It was like she just faded away. After Jennifer's death, June started talking to other people, like she just snapped out of it. Started living a relatively normal life. It was like a switch had been flipped. She even wrote a book about their experiences, which, let me tell you, is a wild ride. So, was Jennifer's death really part of some twisted pact? Did she sacrifice herself so June could finally be free? Or was it just a tragic coincidence? To this day, nobody knows for sure. The story of the silent twins is a reminder that sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. And it definitely makes you think twice about the power of connection, right? Okay, so this next story is seriously creepy. It's about a group of 9 experienced hikers who went missing in the Ural Mountains in Russia back in 1959. And let me tell you, the details of this case are just bizarre. So picture this. It's the middle of winter, freezing cold, and these hikers are on a 16-day expedition through the mountains. They're experienced skiers, they know the terrain, they have all the right gear. They should be totally fine, right? But then they just vanish, like poof, gone without a trace. Weeks go by and their families are freaking out. Search parties are sent out, but there's no sign of the hikers, no sign of a struggle, nothing. It's like they just disappeared into thin air. And as if that wasn't creepy enough, wait till you hear what they found when they finally located the hikers' campsite. So, the search party finally stumbles upon the hikers' tent, And it's a total mess, like it's been ripped open from the inside as if someone was trying to escape in a hurry. And get this, all of the hikers' belongings, their shoes, their food, everything is just scattered around the campsite. But here's where things get really weird. The hikers are found dead, scattered around the area, some of them wearing only their underwear. And their bodies? They're in terrible condition. Some have broken bones, others have internal injuries, and one of the hikers, a young woman, is missing her tongue. Like, what the actual hell happened up there? Was it a wild animal attack? Did they stumble upon something they shouldn't have? Or was something even more sinister at play? And to make matters even creepier, some of the hikers' clothing had weird radiation levels on them. Like, what does that even mean? Were they exposed to some kind of toxic substance? Or was it something else? Despite numerous investigations, nobody has ever been able to figure out what really happened to the Dyatlov Pass hikers. Some people think it was an avalanche, others think it was a military cover-up, and of course, there are always theories about aliens and paranormal activity. But the truth is, we'll probably never know for sure. And that's what makes this story so unsettling. It's a reminder that there are still some things in this world that we just can't explain. And it makes you realize that even the most experienced adventurers aren't immune to the dangers of the unknown. So next time you're planning a camping trip, maybe stick to a well-lit campground, okay? Okay, so picture this. It's the 12th century, right? Like knights and stuff, very Game of Thrones, but like way less sanitary. We're in this village called Woolpit in England, and you guys, England is already kind of grey and gloomy most of the time, right? Anyway, these two kids just show up out of nowhere, and they're not just any kids, they're like full-on Shrek green. I'm talking skin, hair, the whole 9 yards. And these kids, they weren't just rocking the green look, they were speaking some language no one had ever heard before. It was like gibberish, but like melodic gibberish. They refused to eat anything except, get this, raw beans. Like, who even likes raw beans? It's giving me only eats beige food vibes. It's super bizarre, even for the 12th century. So, naturally, the villagers are freaking out, right? They're like, what in the extraterrestrial is going on here? They try to feed the kids bread and meat and all the good stuff, but the kids are like, nah, we good with our beans, thanks. They eventually learn to eat other foods, but still, beans. It's very suspicious. And here's where it gets even weirder. After a while, their skin starts to lose its green pigment. They start looking like normal kids, blending right in. Except they still spoke that weird language. The boy, he sadly didn't make it, which is just tragic. But the girl, she lived. And guess what? She learned to speak English. She told everyone they came from a place called St. Martin's Land, where the sun never really shines and everything's kind of like twilight all the time. I mean, that sounds kind of depressing, but also maybe a little cool, like vampire vibes. Okay, so the girl, she's the key to this whole thing, right? But her story is just a lot. She describes St. Martin's Land as this place where everything is kind of dim and shadowy. Like, imagine living in a perpetual Instagram filter. I don't know about you guys, but I need my vitamin D. And apparently everyone there was green, just like them. Which, okay, I guess that explains the whole green skin thing, but like, where is this place? I mean, was it another dimension? Were they aliens just like taking a little detour to Earth? Did they take a wrong turn at Albuquerque? I have so many questions. Some people think maybe they were orphans who had some kind of rare dietary deficiency that made their skin green. But like, come on, that doesn't explain the weird language or the whole St. Martin's Land thing. And why did the boy die? Was he not able to adjust to our atmosphere or our food? Or maybe he was just allergic to the sun? Think about it. He lived in a world of perpetual twilight and then, bam, English sunshine. It could happen. So, was it aliens? Was it a different dimension? Or was it just some weird medical thing that no one can explain? I'm going with aliens. It's always aliens. Or at least interdimensional travelers. I'm telling you, the world is a stranger place than we think. So picture this. It's 1954 and we're at Haneda Airport in Tokyo. A man arrives on a flight from Europe and everything seems normal. But when he hands over his passport, things get weird. The passport looks legit, but the country it's from? Taured? Yeah, you heard that right. Taured. A place that doesn't exist. The airport officials are like, sir, there's no such place as Taured. But the man, he's adamant. He says Taured is a 1,000-year-old country located between France and Spain. He even shows them a map, pointing to where Taured should be. But on the map, it's just Andorra. The officials are baffled. They check his documents, and everything seems in order, except for the fact that Taured isn't a real place. They decide to put him up in a hotel for the night while they figure this out. They post guards outside his room to make sure he doesn't go anywhere. But when they check on him the next morning, he's gone. Just vanished. No trace of him anywhere. And all his documents? Gone too. The room was locked from the inside, and the guards swear they didn't see or hear anything. So what happened to the man from Taured? Was he a time traveler? Someone from a parallel universe? Or was it all just an elaborate hoax? No one knows. But it's one of those stories that makes you wonder about the nature of reality. I mean, what if there are places that exist in other dimensions, just slightly out of sync with ours? It's mind-boggling to think about. All right, let's dive into one of the most unsettling modern mysteries, the death of Elisa Lam. In 2013, Elisa, a 21-year-old student, was staying at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. She was reported missing, and a few weeks later, her body was found in one of the hotel's rooftop water tanks. How she got there, no one knows. The most chilling part? The elevator footage. Elisa is seen acting erratically, pressing multiple buttons, stepping in and out of the elevator, and seemingly talking to someone off-screen. Some say she was playing the elevator game, a supposed ritual to access another dimension. Others think she was experiencing a mental health crisis. But here's the thing. To get to the water tank, Elisa would have had to bypass several security measures and climb a ladder to access the tank. It just doesn't add up. The official cause of death was ruled as accidental drowning, but the circumstances are so bizarre that many believe there's more to the story. Was it foul play? A supernatural occurrence? Or just a tragic accident? The case remains unsolved, and the Cecil Hotel has a long history of strange and dark events, which only adds to the mystery. Every time I think about it, I get chills. It's one of those stories that sticks with you, making you question what really happened to Elisa Lam. Okay, you guys, this next story is seriously messed up. It's about this lighthouse, right? But not just any lighthouse. This one is on the Flannan Isles, which are these super remote islands off the coast of Scotland. Like, picture the creepiest, foggiest, most isolated place you can imagine, and that's where this lighthouse is. So, it's 1900, and there are 3 lighthouse keepers stationed there: Thomas Marshall, James Duckett, and Donald MacArthur. They're basically the definition of rugged, isolated dudes, you know? Living out there, maintaining the lighthouse, sending signals to ships. So life at the lighthouse is already pretty eerie, right? Just these 3 dudes, alone in the middle of nowhere, with nothing but the sound of the waves and the wind howling outside. But things take a serious turn for the creepy when a supply ship notices that the light isn't working. Like, that's their whole job, to keep the light on. So they send a crew to investigate, and that's when things get really weird. The crew gets to the island, and there's just no one there. The lighthouse is totally deserted. Like, where could they have gone? It's an island, and here's the really creepy part. The table is set for a meal that was never eaten, and there's a chair knocked over. It's like they just vanished into thin air in the middle of dinner. Spooky, right? So obviously people start freaking out. Where did these guys go? What happened to them? The authorities launch a full-on investigation, but they can't find any trace of the keepers. There's no sign of a struggle, no messages, no indication of what happened. It's like they just disappeared into the mist. The logbook is the only clue, and it just adds to the mystery. The last few entries are super strange. Thomas Marshall, the head keeper, writes about these severe winds and a storm unlike any I've seen. But the weird thing is, the weather reports from the mainland show that the weather was actually calm during that time. So was he imagining things? Was something else going on? The other entries are even weirder. James Duckett, who's usually super calm and collected, starts writing about being uneasy and hearing strange noises, and then the entries just stop. No explanation, no goodbye, just silence. So, what really happened to the Flannan Isles lighthouse keepers? It's a question that has haunted people for over a century. Some people think they were swept away by a rogue wave, but others believe something more sinister occurred. Could they have been victims of piracy? Did they stage their own disappearance, or was it something even stranger? Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because this case is seriously unsolved. It's just so unsettling to think about, you know? These three guys living their lives and then suddenly they're just gone. No explanation, no closure, just this eerie mystery that continues to baffle everyone. Okay guys, let's talk about something that's both nostalgic and totally creepy: arcade games. Remember those? The flashing lights, the pixelated graphics, the endless quarters? Well, this story takes place in the golden age of arcades, the 1980s. And it's about a game so mysterious, so sinister, that it's become the stuff of legends. Picture this, it's 1981, and in a few arcades across Portland, Oregon, a new game appears. It's called Polybius, and it's unlike anything anyone has ever seen before. The cabinet is sleek and black, with this hypnotic swirling pattern on the side, and the game itself is shrouded in secrecy. Rumors start to spread like wildfire. Some say the game is so addictive, so intense, that it causes players to experience all sorts of weird side effects. Headaches, nausea, insomnia, you name it. Some people even claim that the game messed with their minds, giving them vivid nightmares and hallucinations. Section 2. More than just a game. Here's where things get really weird. People start whispering about these men in black who would show up at the arcades, but they weren't there to play. They were supposedly collecting data from the Polybius machine, downloading information about the players and their reactions to the game. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that sounds seriously shady. Like, what kind of game requires government surveillance? What were they testing? Some people believe that Polybius was actually a government experiment, a way to test mind control techniques or subliminal messaging on unsuspecting citizens. And the scariest part, it might not be that far-fetched. There are actual documented cases of governments using video games for psychological operations. Like, remember that time the CIA created a game based on the war in Afghanistan to spread propaganda? So, the idea of Polybius being a tool for mind control isn't totally out there. Section 3, gone without a trace. But here's the thing about Polybius. No one has ever been able to prove that it actually existed. There's no physical evidence of the game, no design documents, no source code, nothing. It's like it vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving behind only rumors and speculation. Some people think the whole thing was an elaborate hoax, while others believe that the government scrubbed all evidence of the game's existence to cover up their tracks. Whatever the truth may be, the legend of Polybius continues to fascinate and terrify people to this day. It's a reminder that sometimes the things we can't explain are the things that scare us the most. All right, guys, get ready for this one, because it's seriously creepy. It's about a painting. Yeah, you heard me, right? A painting. But not just any painting. This one is said to be cursed, like seriously cursed. And it all starts with a little boy and a whole lot of fire. The painting is called The Crying Boy, and it's, well, exactly what it sounds like. A portrait of a young boy with tears streaming down his face. It's kind of sad, kind of creepy, and according to legend, it's bad luck to have it in your house. Like really bad luck. See, in the 1980s, a string of house fires broke out across England. And the weird thing was, in almost every single case, there was one thing that survived the flames, a copy of the Crying Boy painting. It was like the painting was immune to the fire, which, let's be real, is super creepy. Section 2, fueling the flames of fear. The story of the cursed painting spread like wildfire, and soon everyone in England was talking about it. People started blaming the painting for all sorts of misfortunes, from car accidents to illnesses to just generally bad luck. And here's the thing. It wasn't just one specific painting that was causing all this trouble. There were tons of copies of the crying boy floating around, and they all seemed to be connected to these strange occurrences. It was like the curse had multiplied, spreading like a virus through these mass-produced prints. People were freaking out. They were burning the paintings, throwing them away, anything to get rid of them. It got so bad that the tabloids even started offering to dispose of the paintings for people, just to cash in on the hysteria. Section 3, a mystery unsolved. So, what was the deal with the crying boy? Was it actually cursed, or was it all just a big coincidence? Some people think the paintings were treated with a fire retardant varnish, which would explain why they always survived the flames. Others believe that the curse was real, that the spirit of the boy in the painting was somehow causing these fires. Whatever the truth may be, the legend of the crying boy continues to intrigue and unsettle people to this day. It's a reminder that sometimes the most ordinary objects can become vessels for our deepest fears and superstitions. Okay, you guys, this next one is seriously creepy. Like, I get chills just thinking about it. It's about these kids, right? But they're not normal kids. They're called black-eyed children. And let me tell you, they are not here to play hopscotch. People have been reporting seeing these kids for years, and it's always the same story. They show up at your door, or sometimes even your car window, and they just stare at you with these completely black eyes. No whites, no pupils, just pure blackness. It's like looking into a void. And the creepiest part, they always ask to come inside. They might say they need to use the phone or they're lost, but whatever you do, don't let them in. People who have encountered these kids say they felt this overwhelming sense of dread, like something bad was going to happen. Some people think they're aliens or demons or maybe even vampires. I don't know what they are, but they're definitely not right. So yeah, if you ever see a kid with black eyes at your door, just don't answer it. There are so many stories about these black-eyed children, and they're all so unsettling. Are these black-eyed children just a creepy urban legend? Or is there something more to it? I mean, there are so many reports of these encounters and they're all so similar. It's hard to just dismiss it as people making stuff up. And until we know for sure what these black-eyed children are, I think it's best to just be careful out there. Don't talk to strangers, especially if they have black eyes. Okay, this next story takes us back to the late 1800s, to a small town in Indiana. It's about a man named Charles Ashmore, and his disappearance is one of the most baffling mysteries I've ever heard of. So, picture this. It's a cold winter night, and Charles is heading out to fetch some water from the well. It's a short walk. He's done it a million times before. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. But then, he just vanishes, gone without a trace. His family searched for him for days, but they couldn't find any sign of him. The snow had covered everything, making it almost impossible to track his footprints. They were starting to lose hope, but then something even stranger happened. They started hearing Charles's voice, calling out to them from the blizzard. It was faint, but definitely his voice. They followed the sound, but every time they got close, it would fade away. It was like he was lost in the storm, unable to find his way back. As if Charles's disappearance wasn't creepy enough, there's more to the story. Before he vanished, he was writing a letter to his fiancée. He never got to finish it, but the words he did write sent chills down everyone's spines. He wrote about how beautiful the snow was, but then he mentioned seeing strange figures in the distance. He described them as tall and shadowy, almost like they were blending in with the falling snow. It was clear that something had spooked him, but he never got to finish the letter, never got to explain what he saw. Some people think that whatever Charles saw in the snow that night had something to do with his disappearance. Was he chased by something sinister? Did those figures lead him astray, causing him to get lost in the blizzard? The unfinished letter only deepens the mystery, leaving us with more questions than answers. It's like a glimpse into Charles's final moments, and it's both fascinating and terrifying. Months went by and the Ashmore family still hadn't given up hope. They kept searching for Charles, clinging to the possibility that he was still alive out there somewhere. And then, on a particularly stormy night, they heard his voice again. This time it was closer, more desperate. They ran outside, following the sound until it led them to a frozen lake. The ice was thin, and in the middle they saw a faint outline of a figure. It was Charles. They tried to reach him, but the ice was too dangerous. They watched helplessly as he drifted further and further away, his voice growing fainter until it was swallowed up by the storm. To this day, Charles's body has never been found. Some say his spirit is still lost in the snow, forever searching for his way home. The story of Charles Ashmore is a chilling reminder that some mysteries are never meant to be solved. Well, there you have it, you guys. 10 creepy stories that will hopefully keep you up at night. Did any of these freak you out as much as they freaked me out? I'm still thinking about those black-eyed children and that unfinished letter. Chilling. If you enjoyed this spooky journey with me, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments which story creeped you out the most. And while you're down there, tell me what other mysteries you want me to explore. Don't forget to subscribe to FactFolio and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future spooky content. Stay curious, stay creepy, and I'll see you in the next video.